IP controls, should you be selling them? How do you make sure that they don't bankrupt your business? And how do you ensure as a building automation professional that you're covering your bases when you try to use this new technology on current and future projects? Hi, my name's Phil Zito. I'm the founder and CEO of Building Automation Monthly, where we train building automation professionals on how to become more profitable and more proficient in their day-to-day tasks. We teach technicians, designers, programmers, project managers, sales professionals, operators, engineers. If you have a role in building automation, we will train you to perform that role more effectively. So IP controls, the marketing and all of the messaging around IP controls has started to die down. Folks are more focused on all of the data, digital twins, analytics, smart buildings, the regular stuff you see flying across LinkedIn and across all of the marketing websites. But here's the thing. Even though all the messaging around IP controls has started to die down, the importance of IP controls still should be a focus point of you as a building automation professional. And here's why. First off, IP controls definitely do offer some benefits that offset their slightly increased cost. Now, depending on who you talk to and what product it is and what distributor you're buying through and what volume discounts you have, IP controls can be all over the place as far as the premium you may pay. However, they definitely do allow you to execute your projects more efficiently. They are easier to manage from a technology perspective. They allow you to have capabilities that current controls do not have, and they are easier to troubleshoot if you're properly trained in information technology. Now, there's a lot of ifs and buts to that couple statements right there. So the first thing I want to focus on here is your information technology maturity as an organization. Now, if you do not have a plan in place to start developing your technicians, your designers, your engineers, your salespeople for the topic of information technology, then you are woefully underprepared for the next 10 years. We see all of these SaaS offerings, software as a service offerings, that are becoming available, and all of them depend on a couple things: the ability to network to the building automation system, the ability to normalize and consume data, the ability to go and actually set up technology systems. Now, there's definitely hardware solutions that can assist you in this, but at the end of the day, you being the local contractor, you are the face of whatever product you provide. And thus, we need to make sure that you have expertise in networking, databases, in data itself, in servers, compute, cloud. All of those technologies you need to have a familiarity with. Now, the important thing to note here is that I said a familiarity with. I don't expect you to be at the level of Google when it comes to actually setting up networks and databases. You don't have to have the same level that their infrastructure engineers would have. That would be way overkill. But you do need to have at least a passing familiarity, an entry-level familiarity with these technologies. So that's tip number one, to make sure that you have a plan in place to develop your team. Because I remember when wireless, especially wireless mesh, became very popular. It was about 2008, 2009. Folks were really pushing the mesh technologies. And a lot of projects were failing because people were approaching these technology projects as any other project. They weren't putting into account interference from walls. They weren't taking into account actually having to lay out a mesh network, since the devices communicate to one another and they have a specific range. And so those same issues are coming into play with IP. Folks are not accounting for switching. They're not accounting for broadcast domains. They're not accounting for subnet size. They're not accounting for IP addressing. All of these things are coming into play with IP controls. And because of this, this is where folks start to lose revenue on projects, is they don't properly have the proper expertise in order to execute IT projects. I remember I presented at a conference and we did a basic subnetting exercise. And the room actually was split 50-50 between folks who did not know what an IP address was and folks who had advanced IT knowledge. So the good news is 50% of the folks had advanced IT knowledge. The bad news is 50% of the folks didn't know what an IP address is. And there is the polarity that we are seeing as an industry. Either folks have great IT knowledge or they have no IT knowledge. There's no in between. And so your goal as a business leader, as a BAS professional, is to bring that expertise up to at least middle of the road. So you want to focus on that. The second thing I want to talk about with IP controls is understanding the scenarios in which it makes sense to actually utilize IP controls. Now, I will be completely honest with you. When it comes to VAV boxes and VAV controllers, I still don't necessarily see the value prop for IP controls. One could argue that you can go and download to the controllers faster. Well, that's fine. I can actually set up a bench in my building and have them all wired up and download them before I send them to the electrician to get installed. So that kind of nullifies that benefit right there, as well as having to set up the switching costs, even if you're using a ring or a bus design pattern instead of a star, there's still additional costs. However, when it comes to plant controllers, when it comes to supervisory, or any critical equipment like major air handlers, IP controls really starts to shine. The speed of communication, the lesser dependency on kind of flaky MSTP communication buses, which can be brought down by a simple misaddressing on a VFD drive, those all become very positive benefits, as well as the ability to have standalone UIs and standalone trend storage in a lot of these newer IP controls. So make sure that you understand the reason why you're using these. And the third thing I want to talk about, so we've talked about the importance to learn IT. We've talked about when to use IP controls. And the third thing is to make sure that if you are utilizing IP controls, make sure you put a design in place. It's not enough to just do a network riser. You actually have to do a network design. So if you don't have that expertise, it's actually pretty easy to pick up that expertise. It's not that difficult. That being said, I definitely encourage you to make sure that whoever is involved on an IP controls project has that level of expertise and is interacting with the customer's IT group as fast as possible, because quite often IT is part of the FF&E budget and will not be put in place infrastructure-wise until at the very tail end of the project, which makes it very difficult to fully commission a system. So you've got to have that in mind as well. So those are three things I would focus on if you're going to be doing IP controls work. I definitely encourage you to comment in the question below or in the discussions below about any things you're experiencing with IP controls, any questions you have. And if you are looking to accelerate that IT knowledge, I encourage you to enroll in our IT training program, which will take you and teach you everything you need to know to be successful in building automation when it comes to information technology, and it does it fully online. So I look forward to hearing from you in the discussions below. Thanks for watching this video. Have a great day.